Wait, stop. Do not tell me this is another boring history lecture.
No, this is the Eastern Stoic. We are fixing the old ideas that are making your life harder.
Bold claim. Most ancient advice is just useless fortune cookies.
Not this time. I am 0, and I have the blueprints.
I'm 1, and I'm just here to see if this pays my bills. Let's rewrite the rules.
The blueprint today is a forensic analysis of a specific kind of structural collapse, a failure of the eyes and the mouth. The case today is inspired by the ancient record of Zi Luwei-ma, pointing at a deer and calling it a horse.
Okay, pointing at a deer sounds like a really low-budget petting zoo. Or a vision test for people who forgot their glasses. I really hope we aren't analyzing livestock today.
We are analyzing power. And to understand the modern boardroom, we have to look at the mechanism of delusion. I want you to picture a conference room. You are on the 50th floor. The air conditioning is humming, the oxygen is incredibly thin, and the stakes are absolute.
Ugh, I can already feel the imposter syndrome kicking in. Sounds like my Tuesday stand-up.
The general manager stands at the head of the long table. He projects a slide onto the wall. The chart shows a line plummeting straight down, a literal vertical drop in sales performance. It looks like a cliff.
Oof. Yeah, the red wedding slide. That is usually when I start quietly checking LinkedIn under the table. Time to soft launch a new career.
But the general manager does not apologize. He does not panic. He simply smiles, points to the crash on the screen, and says, "This is not a loss. This is strategic deceleration to weed out low-quality users."
Oh, wow. Okay, pause. I actually have to give credit where it's due. That is top-tier spin. That is pure main character energy right there.
You are impressed by failure.
I am impressed by the rebrand. I mean, a sales drop sounds like a disaster. Strategic deceleration sounds like a calculated pivot. It is churn optimization. Maybe those users were low quality. Maybe they were just dragging down the metrics. If you want to be a lean, agile organization, you have to shed the dead weight. The guy isn't lying. He is just, framing the narrative. It is a high-level pivot.
Reality doesn't need your marketing department. 1, the low-quality users he referred to were the entire market share. The revenue was 0. The product was fundamentally broken.
Details, 0. Minor details. Look, even if the numbers are bad, you have to admire the team cohesion. Let me guess. The room rallied behind him. They manifested the win.
The room went dead silent.
Yeah.
The managers looked at the cliff on the chart, then at the general manager. And then the nodding began. One manager said, "Yes, absolutely, these are just growing pains." Another added, "Squatting down allows us to jump higher."
See, exactly. That is what I'm talking about. Elite team alignment. Those managers are not lying. They are vibrating on a higher frequency. They are showing up. You can't just bring toxic energy into a meeting and say, "Hey, we're broke." Negativity is a blocker.
They're calculating their year-end bonuses and their mortgage payments. They are terrified.
Oh, please. You are so cynical. It is called being a team player. If I am in that room, I am nodding too. Not because I am scared, but because I am protecting my peace. We do not do blockers in this house. We do solutions.
Let me tell you about the one person who did not protect his peace. In the back of the room, a single data analyst spoke up. He was young. He was still looking at his laptop, running the actual models.
Oh no, here comes the actual guy. Total buzzkill.
He adjusted his glasses and said, "Excuse me, but the model says market share has hit 0. There is no one left to optimize. The chart indicates a total collapse of demand."
Oh, massive mistake. Huge. You do not bring hard facts to a vibes meeting. That is major NPC behavior right there. You cannot just drop a spreadsheet on the table and ruin the narrative flow. Read the room, buddy. I bet he got an immediate performance review.
1 week later, the analyst's desk was entirely empty. HR claimed he lacked the big picture and could not integrate into the company vision.
Culture fit. Yep, the classic HR sniper rifle. But honestly, I get it. I totally get it. That guy was a liability. He was bringing down the morale. You cannot have someone poking holes in the boat when you are trying to sell premium tickets for the cruise.
You were defending the execution of the truth teller.
I am defending the strategy of the room. Look, I can't even judge those nodding managers because, well, I have definitely been the nodder. I have looked at the deer and said, "Wow, what a majestic horse, boss."
You have actively participated in this delusion.
Well, not a literal horse, but, okay, confession time. A couple of years ago, I had this boss. Let's call him Chad. Chad was obsessed with the grind set, just deeply unwell when it came to productivity metrics. He called a huge all-hands meeting to announce he was installing tracking software on our laptops. And it wouldn't just log clicks, it would track literal mouse movement to ensure we were, quote, actively engaging with workflows.
That is not efficiency. That is digital incarceration.
It was completely unhinged. Everyone in the chat knew it was insane. People were going to quiet quit immediately. But Chad is standing there on the Zoom call looking like he just discovered fire, waiting for us to applaud. And I am sitting in my kitchen thinking, if I say this is a privacy violation, I am going to get flagged as resistant to change.
So you remained silent while the trap closed.
Worse, I opened the general Slack channel for the meeting and I typed, "Great initiative, Chad," followed by the rocket emoji. This will really help us identify the high performers. Fire emoji.
You praised a system you knew was destructive. You validated the trap.
I did it to protect my peace. 0. If I speak up, I get assigned to a task force to improve the implementation. I get more work. I get assigned a mandatory learning module. If I drop the rocket emoji, Chad smiles. The meeting ends early and I can go back to doom scrolling under my desk. I was just surviving. I am a bare minimum king. I just wanted to get through the day.
You call it survival. I call it poisoning the well.
Oh, come on. It is one Slack message. It is not that deep. It is just corporate lubricant.
It is exactly that deep. And this brings us to the core mechanism of the ancient text. The general manager with the chart and your boss, Chad, they were not looking for feedback. They were conducting a loyalty test. This is cognitive reshaping as a management tool.
Gaslighting. Finally, a therapy term I actually use. But isn't that just for toxic relationships?
A job is a relationship. And this is a very specific, deliberate power dynamic. Think about the mechanics. If the general manager had pointed to a chart showing record profits and asked you to agree it was good, that proves absolutely nothing. Agreeing with the truth requires no loyalty. It only requires eyes.
Right. It's easy to agree that water is wet.
Exactly. But to force a room full of intelligent, educated people to look at a catastrophic disaster and call it strategy, to look at a deer and call it a horse, that requires submission.
Okay, but
By punishing the truth teller, the analyst, the leader, sends a very clear signal to everyone else. Reality is what I say it is. It breaks the individual's trust in their own perception.
okay, but that is literally just leadership. You set the tone. You define the North Star. If everyone is aligned, you move faster.
That is creating a cult. The result is not alignment. The result is self-censorship. After the analyst was fired, do you think anyone else in that company brought up bad news?
Definitely not. They probably started deleting any data that looked red. Out of sight, out of mind.
Precisely. The employees stop using their energy for creativity or problem solving. They spend 100% of their energy guessing the leader's color preference. What does the boss want to be true today? They become actors in a play written by a madman. And you, with your rocket emoji, you were a supporting actor.
Okay, you are making this sound very dystopian, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's talk about consensus reality. If literally everyone in the room agrees the deer is a horse, isn't it, for all practical purposes, a horse?
Explain your logic.
Look, in the corporate world, truth is highly subjective. It is all about the story you tell the investors. It is vibe curation. If we all agree strategic deceleration is a brilliant, lean mindset move, then the stock price stays up. The partners stay happy. We all keep our jobs. It is narrative control. The analyst was just trying to ruin the movie for everyone else. If vibes are good, the company is good. Perception is reality.
You think reality is a democracy. You think if you get enough votes, gravity stops working.
I mean, on Wall Street,
Yeah.
it is all about the spin. If I can convince the world I am a unicorn, I am a unicorn. The analyst was operating on outdated software called objective truth. We are in the post-truth era 0.
And this is exactly where your strategy hits a concrete wall. You are completely ignoring the self-correcting mechanism.
Sounds like a car part.
It functions exactly like one. An organization must be able to see its own mistakes to fix them. That is self-correction. When you create a culture where consensus overrides fact, you destroy that mechanism. You are driving a car toward a cliff, but you have smashed the speedometer with a hammer because the needle was pointing to danger.
Yeah, but if everyone in the car is listening to a great podcast and the heated seats are on,
The cliff does not care if you are comfortable. The cliff does not care about your narrative control. There's a concept you need to understand here. The hunter.
hunter, like
Yeah.
a literal guy with a bow.
In the ancient framework, the man in power could force his entire court to call the deer a horse. He could execute the dissenters. He controlled the room. But if he took that so-called horse into the forest to hunt tigers, he would be eaten.
Because the tiger didn't get the memo.
The tiger does not report to him. The tiger does not care about his royal decree. The tiger sees a deer that cannot run fast enough to carry a rider. In the modern world, The hunter is the market.
Oh, right. The customers, the competitors who aren't currently huffing copium.
You can convince your entire staff that a glitchy, broken app is minimalist genius. You can convince your board that losing all your users is strategic. You can gaslight your investors. But when the customer downloads the app and it crashes immediately, the illusion evaporates. The market cannot be gaslit.
So consensus reality works until it completely doesn't.
It works inside the palace. It works inside the Zoom call. But the moment the product touches the real world, the truth collects its debt. And the debt is usually paid in bankruptcy.
That's terrifying. It is like we are all sitting in a circle telling each other how fireproof we are while the actual house burns down around us.
And every time you nod, every time you post a rocket emoji for a destructive idea, you are adding fuel to that fire. You are blinding the organization. Truth is an expensive luxury. But when a specific organization stops discussing right or wrong and only discusses stance, the decay begins with the applause.
Oof. Okay, that hit a little too close to home. When I sent that emoji to Chad, I was not thinking about the structural decay of the organization. I was literally just thinking about my lunch break.
Yeah.
But I see your point. The hunter is coming. The horse lie always fails eventually.
It is an absolute mathematical certainty.
Okay, well, I'm a pragmatist. I hear what you're saying. The ship is going to sink. The hunter is out there. Fine. But I cannot stop the hunter, and I definitely cannot fix the general manager. Chad is not going to listen to me. So I need a strategy for me.
I am concerned about where you are taking this.
I am going to monetize this. Now that I know the mechanics, I am not going to be the analyst. I actually like having a paycheck and being able to afford groceries. And I am not going to be the delusional leader. I am going to be the head nodder.
You are choosing to be the enabler.
No, I am the arbitrager. Next time I spot a horse lie early, I am going to agree the absolute loudest. I will be the first one clapping. I will say, boss, this is the greatest pivot since Amazon Web Services. I will use that alignment to secure the vice president title, vest my stock options, and then, and this is the genius part, I will golden parachute out of there right before the market realizes the product is trash.
You are describing a pump and dump scheme on your own career.
I call it the arbitrage of stupidity. If the system is rigged to reward liars, I am going to be the most efficient liar in the room. I will cash out while the consensus reality is still at peak value and let the next guy deal with the wreckage. It is not my fault the boss is delusional. I am just charging him a premium for the tour. That is just smart side quest business, zero.
You believe this makes you untouchable. But you are forgetting the leader's info cocoon.
The what now?
By agreeing the loudest, you are not simply watching the disaster from a safe distance. You are actively accelerating it. You are adding thick layers to the leader's cocoon. You make him a prisoner of power, entirely incapable of seeing the cliff approaching. And when the crash happens, it is always faster than the sycophants expect.
I'm quick. I can read the room. I will jump out before the impact.
You think you will have time to grab your golden parachute. You think you can time the market's realization. But usually when the hunter strikes, the enablers are the first casualties.
My cardio is great. Zero. I cannot run the bear.
It is not about cardio. It is about complicity. When the boss defines reality, the team loses the future. And you, one, with your rocket emojis and your calculated applause, you are just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. You think you're hacking the game, but you are just securing your place as the last one to drown.
I guess I'll try not to get fired tomorrow.
To tune your life, save and subscribe to the Eastern Stoic. We will find the source code next time. Goodbye.